So this best practice is about how to make it so easy for the customer that's receiving a multi-SKU pallet, right? For them to recognize the different SKUs. For example, let's say this multi-SKU pallet has 20 SKUs in it. How can you make it so easy for them to recognize all these different SKUs and count them accurately and quickly by SKU, right? That's what this best practice is about. So we'll get into the best practice. Thank you for taking the time to watch this best practice. Again, this is a zero loss supply chain best practices series, and we are going to talk about many best practices. So this is another very important best practice that adds ton of improvement to your overall processes, efficiency, productivity, and all that, right? This best practice is actually very simple if you think about it, and this is super useful, especially when the new SKUs hit a DC, right? Hit a warehouse, DC, whatever, right? Fulfillment center. So what this best practice is, you won't believe how much time that gets spent on just identifying different SKUs within the multi-SKU palette and then sorting them, right? Sorting them and making sure that count is accurate, right? So for example, let's say this is our palette. So if this is our palette, so I got a palette and then I got all these boxes on them, right? I got all these boxes on them. This is my palette. And obviously this is a multi-SKU pallet, right? For whatever reason, for efficiency gains, for packing the pallet tightly, the side that should the pallet, they put so many SKUs together, and let's say this is SKU A, SKU A, SKU A, and then this is SKU B. Let's say this is SKU B, SKU B, SKU B, right? And then this is, let's say, SKU C, SKU C. Obviously, right? This is all, somebody, whoever is shipping, their job was, hey, I gotta, pack all this in the pallet and then I gotta ship it. So that's what they decided to do. But imagine the nightmare, when it receives when it arrives at the other facility, and this guy has not even seen that SKU before, right? So now this person, and you guys know the warehouses are literally all these people at TEM. It's a literally revolving door. They come and go, they come and go, they come and go. So this guy is still learning, and he is completely new, and he's learning about the products, processes, and all the different customers, ASN, shipments, loads, and all that. And suddenly this guy is hit with this pallet with so many different SKUs. See, I kept the example simple. I just added A, B, and C, 3 SKUs. Sometimes there are 20 SKUs on this, right? And obviously all these pallets have a shipping label, have a content label, and you can see all this. Imagine how nightmarish it can get when there are 20 SKUs on this pallet and this person has not even seen this SKU. This person is trying to figure out which SKU is what. And often they account, for, hey, what I got? See, here in this example, I got SKU A 3 boxes, right? SKU B, I got 3 boxes again, SKU B 3 boxes, and then I got SKU C 3 boxes, right? So, this is very, very easy for the person that's looking at it for the first time to, count it incorrectly, right? He could count it as, hey, A is 4 and B is 2 and C is 3. So that happens all the time because you realistically think about it, right? Those guys don't know all these SKUs. They've not seen all these SKUs. They don't have so much exposure, and especially if the guy is new, it's a nightmare. And imagine how much time that gets spent on just sorting the SKU and making sure this count is right, and making sure that's a lot of time that is all spent by the warehouse, which they could easily eliminate, right? So that's why it's super important for the whoever is shipping, right? It could be a vendor from overseas, Thailand, India, Bangladesh, China, Malaysia, right? Indonesia, wherever it is, life gets so much easier. And also in places where they are running vendor performance metric for vendor one, right? This is very common. Everyone is running vendor performance metric because they got to make sure the vendors are doing a good job. Their metric will improve so much if they just all they have to do is put a label, about an inch in diameter round label on the SKUs to indicate that, hey, these are C SKUs. These belong, these are 1 SKUs, and then these are another SKUs, right? Put a 1 inch or 2 inch round color label on these boxes. So it makes it so much easier for the person on the other end to sort these boxes, right? So when that happens, this just becomes so much easier for them to sort, and they look at the labels and they sort, and then they can, your verification after receiving is perfectly done as well. You won't have that scenario where A is 4 and B is 2 and C is 3, right? And if you really think about it, right, I mean, if you guys ran projects or you ran teams, at the end of the day, it's all about communication. If communication is done properly, if you over communicate, if you pay attention to the person's body language, and if you over communicate, and if you communicate, and I tell this to all my team members and my customers and my peers, everyone, there is nothing called over communicate. You can always communicate, right? You can always communicate better. You can always communicate. There is nothing called over communication. So it's just basic communication. You make it easy, communicate such that they are able to recognize these SKUs very, very easily, and your relationship with your customer would be so much. As a vendor, your relationship with your customer would be so much better, and they will appreciate doing business with you, and your vendor performance score will improve as well. So this is something to keep in mind, and if you guys do it, especially when you see, hey man, I'm putting this 20 SKUs on a pallet, how is this other guy going to even sort this and get it right? So think through that, and you can build phenomenal relationship with your customers, and they'll come back and even share best practice. Hey guys, do this for us. That will make it easier. And obviously there is a packing list, there is a content label and all that. It just makes life so much easier, and your supply chain partners will appreciate it so much, and overall you can have a very good relationship, and you want to win together, right? That's what at the end of the day supply chain is. It's not sitting there and blaming each other, but hey, how can I help you win more business, and how can you help me win more business? And that is the that is the spirit of this whole thing. And of course, do this, and you are one step closer to your zero loss supply chain. Thank you for taking the time to watch this best practice.